Yes, everyone. What a ridiculous game once again to try to wrap our heads around. It feels like that's sort of the theme of kind of the last couple of games, or just like almost you can't decipher them, you can't figure them out. There's not really like an easy word to exactly describe how it all went down. And we're going to try our best to do that, I guess, right here with this post-match reaction. Lots of different things to discuss here. Even coming up with the title was hard. It was like, geez, how do I sort of not put down the team too much, but also still kind of, vent my frustration in a title. I hope I achieve that with this one. If you are joining us for this post-match reaction, we do appreciate it. Smash that like button if you like. And also as well, you do get your comments in on the game and feel free to throw it in as a super chat to support the channel. But we are joined by Michael from Poland and Dermatron from THFC Till I Die. Going to go to the bottom first. Mr. Dermatron, how are you? Maybe a silly question to ask. How are you? I bet you don't even know how you are. You don't even know how to decipher this game.
It was like watching a Conte press conference. Do you remember where we used to sit and watch them press conference, right, and try to decrypt what he was trying to say? Watching Tottenham in the last few weeks has been like, you have to go to work for the CIA, MI5 or MI6 or whatever Poland's equivalent of the CIA is. Get a degree how to decrypt Tottenham. It's just... Look, I can't fault them today. I am so proud of the passion, and especially with the sad news of Terry Venables passing as well. That team put in performance Terry Venables would have been proud of today. And I think Ange was so unlucky. I think decisions just went against us. We took our chances, but look, we get that support in Tottenham. We'll have games like that. We shrug ourselves down. We'll probably go up to Manchester and win next week, knowing us. That's just, I hate the word, but that's Spursy, isn't it? That's how we are. But thanks for having me on, Jack, and it's great to see you, mate. And happy Thanksgiving Day. Hope you had a lovely time with your family.
Thank you. Thank you, Dermatron. Thank you for helping me out as well. And we're going to go on to Michael from Poland. Thank you for helping me out and trying to make sense of this game. And yeah, Michael, I mean, silly question to ask, but, how are you post-match? Are you just confused? Barely can see what's in front of you? It's hard to make sense once again, of this performance, because there's so many things to be kind of like Dermatron said there, maybe to be happy about, positive about, but I'll be honest, there's some things I'm still pretty frustrated about as well.
So, obviously I'm a bit pissed because we lost, right? But honestly, it's a really weird feeling because I on one hand don't mind losing like that, because I feel like it wasn't because we were worse than the opposition. It wasn't because we didn't create. It wasn't because we were passive, or we made some stupid mistakes. I feel like this was just that type of game where you create chances, but it just doesn't stick. You just cannot find the back of the net. And yeah, so on one hand, I don't mind losing like that. On the other hand, I'm really frustrated because I know this team can do more when it's fit, right? I feel like our first 11 today absolutely wipes the floor with Villa. That's the way I see it, right? But you have to look at the fact, and it's. I know whenever you say the word injuries, everyone says, don't bring injuries as an excuse, right? And I want to caveat that I'm not excusing the loss because of the injuries, but I want to say that it plays an important part, right? When you are missing your first team players, it will reflect on the performance on the pitch, right? That's just something that cannot dismiss, right? So for me, if we had Bissouma today, if we had Sarr today, if we had Van de Ven, Romero, Maddison, even Perisic or Solomon, I feel like even those two would have been useful today. But unfortunately, we are starved right now, including Bentancur. We have 10 players either suspended or unavailable because of injuries. That's let that sink in. That's 25 players you can register, and 10 of them were unavailable today. So I don't mind losing like that, but yeah, we'll get into it, right?
Yeah, we'll certainly get into it. And there's definitely a lot, we've been trying to address here that, you can be happy about, you can be positive about, considering, the context of all the injuries. And also, let's be honest, I think a lot of Spurs fans went into this one not very confident, and maybe in a way sort of not expecting that sort of, I think, energetic as well as sort of, really be sort of thorough performance. But, weirdly enough, we didn't end up getting the points that probably we deserved. And we're going to say hello to some people in the chat here. And like Michael said, continue to try to make sense of this game with a few different questions. I think I'm going to greet the chat first, but then I'm going to bring up some stats as well, and we'll maybe dissect those quickly. But everybody that is joining us, do smash that like button. Do get your comments in down below on the game, and we'll welcome you in. Gamer16 saying no scoring in probably one of the most dominant displays of the season, especially when Bentancur was still in. But for ball in our box, 2 goals and 1 disallowed for offside is not good enough. To be honest, Gamer16, just pick any of the chances that we had today. I mean, there's at least 3 goals that I think should have absolutely had gone in, just plain sitters. And I even said this on Twitter. I think as a former backup right back and as a Yank, I really do think I could have scored one of those chances. It was that easy. It really was just torturous to watch.
Also, Jack, I think the
yeah.
I also think the commenter meant that like Villa had like pretty much 3 opportunities and they scored 2 goals in our own box, right? And one of them was offside. But I feel like Villa's goals were really simple. Like they didn't really like do anything that special to cut us open. One of them was a set piece, and the other one was just a simple through ball, right? And that's unfortunately what we have to deal with that backline. But the thing is, we expected to concede. Like I think most of us expected to concede like 2 goals today, right? I don't think any of us expected to keep a clean sheet or to limit Villa completely, right? We expected to concede 2, but the issue is we should have scored like 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. That's the issue, right? The issue for me today was the front line, not the back line.
Yeah, no, the back line, I think we also knew, like, we're sort of, before this game, we definitely didn't have a lot of confidence probably in that back line. And I think for a lot of moments, they actually did, hold strong. I think we'll get into maybe Ben Davies and Emerson and other players and, kind of dissect how they perform. But yeah, I think they, for the most part, didn't, perform as, poorly as maybe some people might have thought, especially what I saw on Twitter, at least before that game. Plenty of people did not have confidence in Emerson at center back. Plenty of people, of course, maybe don't have much confidence in Davies at center back. I think Davies was at fault for both of the goals, but still, I think they, were able to hold out for as long as they could. It was really up to that forward line to do their part. Peter Breen saying, hate to be negative, but why did we bring on Skip for Hill at 2-1? And just game management was poor today. I think the reason he did that, Peter, was just because Hill started to kind of show, a bit of tiredness. I don't think he's exactly match fit because, let's be honest, he hasn't played, a whole lot of games or had too many minutes really at all this season. And he was absolutely running himself into the ground. And so I think eventually he probably started to notice that, Hill wasn't really providing the real, sort of energy in the press that was needed. And I think sometimes you just need a pair of fresh legs, a guy that can just run about and try to get stuck in and turn the ball over for you. And not saying Skip was really great or really made, the impact that was necessary, but I think that was sort of the logic, at least at the time. Spurs saying, big up Dave and Jack, and I'll come on you Spurs. William Jr. saying, Son seriously needs to work on his offside. 4 goals in 2 matches is too much. We have Craig Bowler saying, we are just a bit unbalanced up front. As Son isn't a good 9, he's far better on the left. Decent number 9, scores a hat trick today. Let's be honest, Craig, I feel like Sonny has been absolutely ruthless with most of the chances that he had this season, but today was not a great one for Sonny. You just have to say it really wasn't. And I think I could say that too with Kulusevski. I could say that too with Brennan Johnson. I could say that too even with Hill with one of his chances. There were just too many chances here that were spurned that were just not taken properly. Big up to Tyler. Hopefully you're keeping well. Colin Turner saying, very, very frustrating game. We mustn't get too despondent, though. We have a lot of players missing. Cash's tackle should have been a straight red, and he'd done the same on Matt Doherty. Yeah, I have a question on that. Colin Turner, is maybe Matty Cash, kind of maybe has I don't know if he seems to, save these dirty tackles for Spurs. Daniela Zito saying, good evening. Let's expect another loss next week. We didn't take our chances. How many offsides will we have? We can't. Why can't our players stay on side, for F's sake? They played really well in the first half. Second half was poor. I understand that we had a lot of moments where we were caught offside, Daniela, but that's kind of part of Aston Villa's game plan. We even discussed it pretty heavily beforehand. They do have that offside trap, and they are quite good at it. But I feel like there were plenty of chances where we did catch them out, and we weren't offside, and we just didn't take the chances. And we didn't need to rely on some of those goals that ended up being ruled offside to be ruled onside. I think there were plenty of chances that we created on our own that didn't need to be, sort of checked by VAR or anything them. Danielle, but big up to you. Ace JC saying, anyway, who thought that we have become a better team after Kane's departure? Surely has seen that notion blown up in front of your faces today. We needed somebody to finish the chances, Ace, but to bring Harry Kane into the conversation today, I mean, maybe you can. It just feels like, anybody could have really, I don't know if you need Harry Kane to bury those chances. You could have had me on the pitch and I could have buried one of those for you. So that's how I sort of feel about it. It was really that easy. Big up, though, to Catspur. Hopefully you're all right. Steve D's in the house as well. I've seen a couple of streams, people questioning Ange's subs in the second half and then go on to say how terrible our squad is. Couldn't make it up. Steve, I feel like I didn't have much problem with any of the substitutions Ange made. I really had, I have a really positive sort of a reflection, I think, of how Ange went about it. I really liked the changes that he made to the starting 11, like the fact that he really went for it in the beginning of the game. And he started out strong. He started out with a very attacking lineup, but right then, he had to make changes because the team started to tire. We started to lose that energy, start to lose that kind of bite to us, and he needed to make changes. And I'm happy with the ones that he made. And the lack of, the squad depth isn't great either. Too many injuries. It's not like it's really a lot of easy choices for him. So I agree with you there, Steve. We have Kev Williams in the house saying we had enough chances to win that match. We had enough chances to win that match. Seen be more clinical. To concede right on halftime was a deflator. It's frustrating that that half, the first 11 are in hospital beds. We don't have a strong squad. Even today, though, Kev, I feel like the lineup that we were able to put out there, I think they really did show that they are capable of beating a pretty good team in Aston Villa. And I understand that we have a lot of injuries, and maybe if we did have Van de Ven and Romero, we could have saw out that game. But the fact that we would have had to have relied on like a 1-0, in that sort of game is pretty dreadful, I think. It should have been a 4-0, 5-0 type of game. There was just so many moments where we could have just blown Villa out of the water without needing to rely on, our defense to actually get us through the game. So a lot of it really falls on the forward line for me today, Kev Williams. Hopefully you're all right. Yeah, Michael.
Yeah, if I can add on the whole like squad depth, etc. Right? If we look at this game and the game against Wolves, right? In the game against Wolves, we fielded like a back four of Royal, Poro, Davies, Dyer. We had midfield of Hojbjerg, Sar, and Bissouma, right? And the forward line was the same. And now we look at this game when we fielded a much more like adventurous lineup, right? It still consists of people that probably aren't good enough, some of them, right? But I think the difference in performances, even though the scorelines were the same, the difference in performances was so like incomparable for me.
Yeah.
Like against Wolves, as soon as we started I don't think we did the post-match show, but I think we talked about it. And I said straight from the off, I said we didn't deserve anything against Wolves. I think we were absolutely dog shit, right? Against Villa today, the performance was amazing in my opinion. Some of the intricate like passing that we did, dribbling, getting out of tight spaces, playing out of the back. I think we actually did it really, really well, right? The issue was just the finishing. So for me, if we get our starting players back, and now Ange has a sample size of here is how Dyer plays, and Hojbjerg as a 6, and some other guys, and here's how this midfield that we fielded today plays. I think that's a really good learning experience, right? And I think we all said at the beginning of the season we want Ange to learn like the qualities of the squad and improve on it, right? So for me, even though this game is frustrating that we lost, I think it shows us what the squad is capable of, right? Not beating Villa maybe, but it's capable of playing good football, some of those players, right?
I think just to carry on what you're saying there, Michael, I think we need to. I think there's a lot more positive to be taken out today than negatives. And I think, look, you compare the Wolves game to the game today, chalk and cheese. But what I saw today was passion. What I saw today was them playing on the front foot the Ange way. And whatever Ange said to them at the end of the Wolves game or during the international break, they've taken it on board and they've come out. And I'm proud of the team today. Our defeat hurts. We're all hurting. We're all angry. We're all upset. But I'm proud of the team. And how many times could we have said that on the different managers? We're proud of the team. I don't think many times. So, look, it's a defeat. We learn from it. It's a bump in the road. We've got Man City next week. We dust ourselves down. We go again. And because we are Tottenham Hotspur, and we will never give up. So we keep going.
I think a lot of people outperformed expectations, actually, a lot of the players in that team. And considering the changes that we made, a lot of guys that maybe we weren't as confident about, I think they really did actually outperform expectations. It's actually the guys that we usually expect better from that usually didn't, or actually in this game, I don't think really did put in the performance that we really needed to get over the line. And I'm really more referencing that front three. I think they've been, the team, or they were the guys that we really needed to, step up today and sort of carry the team. And they didn't. I felt like the rest of the team sort of more or less did their job, except really the forward line. We're going to bring in Tyler here as well, another man that you might recognize from the fan shows. And we'll get through to the questions and to the stats. But first, we're just going to ask Tyler how he is. Tyler, hard game to make sense of, right?
Yeah, it was. I was really happy with the performance overall. I thought Ange set up the first 11 perfectly. So, to just not be able to finish chances and to lose like that hurts a little bit.
It does hurt, my man. It was torturous for me to watch. I mean, seriously, like I said, even as a Yank, and I know I can't finish. I swear I at least could have finished one of those chances. That's how frustrating it was. But still, though, I think we have to emphasize a performance that you can't be that despondent over or that really mad about, because there was a lot of players that I think really did actually outperform expectations, or more or less just did their job for the majority of the game. It's just other guys that really did just need to put the ball in the back of the net. It's really just that simple. And we could have got what we deserved. We absolutely deserve more, and we'll get into it. Just going to say hello to some names that have been joining us. Drunk Vigo is in here. We have Axe Shegs as well. George Kadaris. Hopefully you're well, George. Also appreciate your support as a member, as well as Hit the Bar. Trinidad, really do appreciate you. He says chickens came home to roost, but good team spirit. There was a fight, just not the depth of polish we all knew was there. Needed a hero, but wasn't to be today. Back Ange. I really agree with all that, Trinidad. Hopefully you're all right, sir. Stephen Thomas is in here too. We also have as well, just make sure I'm not missing anybody, Daryl Bradford, Colin Turner, Morlar as well, and I believe Rob Belcher. Hopefully you're all right this evening, everybody, and Colin Cross. Please, everybody, we're going to get straight into it with the stats and everything, but if you can for us, smash that like button. Do get your comments in on this game, and if you do want to interrupt the conversation at any stage, feel free to do it with a super chat. But we're going to go to the stats here, and Spurs had plenty of shots here. 18 shots, 8 on target, 63% possession, 9 corners, and 3 big chances. I believe we had 3 big chances missed as well. 15 shots for Villa, 5 on target, 37% possession to them, 3 corners, and 3 big chances for them as well, right? They had a few headers that I think, could have easily have gone in if we weren't, we got probably pretty lucky on a few of them. But Michael, I mean, probably the big glaring sort of stat right there are the 3 big chances. And I actually feel like that's probably, maybe an under exaggeration, or, not even what I expected. I thought it would be like 5 or 6 big chances.
Yeah, it's like, first of all, I don't know where Villa had 15 shots. I know they were shooting, but some of those shots were one of those that you just don't notice, in my opinion. Whereas I feel like and I know it's just my feeling, right? But whereas some of those 18 shots that we had, I felt like the impact of those shots, if you get what I'm saying, right? I noticed them, right? Whereas with Villa, I feel like there were some of those were just some rebounds or whatever, right? But yeah, with the big chances, I'm surprised it's that low. But for me, even if you count some of those as big chances or not, I still think we had more than enough chances to score more than 1 goal. And it's really unfortunate, because it's a bit of a pattern that's starting to show, right? That we struggle with finishing big chances. We are actually really good creatively. I do remember that during the broadcast they showed the stat of passes into the opposition box and touches in the opposition box. And I swear to God, at 60th or 70th minute, we had 50 touches in the opposition box, right? Which is an amazing statistics. That means that we pretty much had the ball in their box, right? But we just couldn't put the finishing touch, and that's the big issue for me. That's something that we will have to work on, either through transfers or through putting different players, maybe teaching them to shoot. I don't know, something has to change.
And as well, you would say that creating chances hasn't been much of a problem, I feel like, for Spurs this season. And it's actually been more, like you say, actually putting away some of those bigger chances. Tyler, I mean, you see 3 big chances there, right? And I could probably name 3 of those big chances happen inside the first 10 minutes. You look at Udogie, I think Kulusevski as well. And I think I might even be missing another one, maybe from Sonny or somebody else. Also had maybe Brian Hill had a huge chance in the first half inside those first 10 minutes. I mean, Spurs could have been 2-0, 3-0 up.
Yeah, I mean, you go to that first one where Kulu did all the work, did an amazing job to get open in the box, and he hits it off the post. It was, a bit unlucky. You'd hoped for him to finish that. There was the Davies header from 2 yards out that somehow hit over the bar. That cross from Hill that doesn't count as a big chance, but Sonny could have got on the end of that header that he missed. Yeah, I mean, we had plenty of chances. We had so many times where, like Michael was saying, we got the ball in the box and we had plenty of touches, plenty of passes, and we just couldn't make the final pass. It got blocked or the shot got blocked or whatever.
I actually, like, quickly now, as you said that, Tyler, I think for a chance to count as a big chance, you actually have to hit the ball.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. So that's why the Brennan Johnson slide didn't count, the Sonny missed header didn't count, etc. Right. So I think if you count those, you would have more like bigger chances, but they don't technically count as a big chance because you didn't like shoot at the goal, right?
Yeah.
Dermatron, Steve D saying here, sometimes the putts drop, sometimes they don't. Can't read too much into it. Bad day at the office in the finishing, or are you starting to notice a trend?
I think it was just a bad day in the office. I mean, I think Sonny's been watching too much NFL. I think he was playing like the quarterback, trying to kick the ball over the post, for a couple of points for Tottenham NFL team. Look, it's just one of them things. We just had an off day, but as I say, we created the chances. People say we couldn't create without Maddison. Well, today we proved that wrong. We did create chances, and it's all about taking your chances. We didn't take our chances, and it came back to haunt us in the end. But you can use that as a negative, but look at the positives. We created chances. We had more shots than Aston Villa, more shots and goal than Aston Villa. We had more possession than Aston Villa. We had more touches in the opposition box than Aston Villa. We were dominating the game without really dominating it, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot. I think Ange would take a lot of positives out of that. Yeah. And I don't feel angry because of the loss. I'm frustrated. And that's what it is. I'm not angry. I'm proud of the team, but we just need to take our chances. If you had a Harry Kane, if only.
Yeah. Well said, Dermot.
If we had Harry Kane, would we have won there? Yeah, I think we would have, but we don't. We got what we got, and we move on. And look, the players today showed they can. There's some of them players today showed they can play for Ange. Brian Hill, I thought he was brilliant today. He was a little Jackrabbit. Had a couple of chances. Kulu, couple of chances. Sonny, on another day, Sonny would have bagged a hat-trick.
Yeah.
So it's just one of them things. It's football. Football has a way of biting you in the ass when you're down or kicking you when you're down. But other teams will go through this during the season. We're having ours now. Other teams will go through it. It's football. It cycles. So let's not get too upset about it. Let's look at the positives. Let's look at the positive side of the game.
You made a good point, Dermot, that the scoreline suggests that we didn't dominate the game. But if you actually watched the game, you would say that we did, in fact, dominate the game, especially in that first half. Even Aston Villa, like the way they celebrated that equalizer was like such a celebration of like, like we're so lucky, to grab this one here. It really was like a moment of, you could tell Unai Emery was thanking his lucky stars. But that's also where I think the frustration comes from, is that even in the first half, Spurs fans felt like we could have been 2-0, 3-0 up. And even if that goal had gone in, wouldn't have much matter because we were in that much in control at that stage. And Steve D, I think that's the conversation though. Like, is it just a bad day at the office with the finishing, or is there maybe a trend here when it comes to the, maybe lack of clinical edge sometimes in this Spurs team? Jerome saying, I know it is 3 losses in a row. Yeah, I could see so much positivity from it. We are just so unlucky with injuries and suspensions. Listen, Jerome, when I looked at, the 3, red L's, right next to each other, this one just doesn't feel like one. I'm just frustrated. We didn't bury the goals, but I just wouldn't look at this game. I'd put a huge asterisk next to it. I really would, because it's a game that for the most part, I think a lot of players who started that game should be proud of themselves, should be happy with their performance. It's just certain moments where we just needed that clinical edge, and we created chances that we just could have easily just tapped in. I mean, some of them were basically tap-ins. That's all you need to do is just bury the chance and get what you deserve. It's one of those where you created the chances, now bury the chances, and you get what you deserve. And Spurs, for some reason, just couldn't do that. And I think maybe you could be in Steve D's case where you just feel like maybe it's a bad day at the office with the finishing, or maybe you might be in other people's position where there could be somewhat of a trend here when it comes to lack of finishing. But still, I think there's a lot of things to be happy about with that performance. And also, especially because a lot of Spurs fans were not going into this one especially confident. I wasn't going into it really all that confident. And the way that we came out the gates, the way that we were causing Villa trouble that early into the game really did surprise me. And I'm just actually more surprised that we didn't end up, grabbing all 3 points with the way that we started that. But yeah, I mean, so many injuries and so many suspensions. But even with those injuries and suspensions, Michael, I would say actually that we sort of performed in a way. Like we kind of made it look like that was sort of our first team, or that what everybody's saying, right? Oh, we're missing this guy. But so many players I thought played well enough that, it didn't look like we were missing them as much, really. Some of the losses.
I mean, they did and they didn't, right? That's why, like as you said at the beginning of the show, this game will be really hard to dissect because, like, yes, we played really well. Yes, we created a lot. Yes, we looked lively, but we didn't finish the chances. We let 2 goals in. So, there is always like something to counter. The good point can be countered with a bad point, right? But I want to say something. If this Villa loss happened between 2 wins, 2 good performances, right? Imagine this match against Villa happened between, I don't know, let's say Bournemouth and Burnley when we played those 2 teams, right? I think that it would have felt much different. I think the issue is that it's a 3rd loss in a row, right? That's why some people feel much more negatively towards what happened today than if they did if that game happened in like isolation, right? If it wasn't surrounded with 2 other losses, right? I think that's the major issue that we are facing ourselves with, right? That we are struck with injuries, that we are like struggling to finish chances, that we did lose 2 games before that, right?
Yeah. And for you, Tyler, I mean, do you agree with Jerome here that, it's 3 losses in a row, but he just feels like there's still a lot of positivity to take from it and that it's just an unlucky result?
Yeah, definitely. And like going into the match, I knew it was going to be tough for us to win. But I didn't think we would create all the chances we created today. I mean, Lo Celso and Bentancur played really good together. They created a lot of chances for us in that first half, in that first 30 minutes. And seeing Bentancur go down, like, that just hurts even more. Uh, another midfielder going out, a good creative player, and for him being out for so long before that, seeing him go down now, like, let's just hope we see some consistency from Lo Celso in these next couple games, and
Yeah.
he continues to create because we do need the creativity, and seeing guys like Lo Celso shine today and not getting a result sucks, but we created enough, and hopefully going forward we'll continue to create.
Yeah, we definitely need to. And if we keep playing like that, we certainly will at
Yeah.
least continue to cause teams trouble. But we do need to bury some of these, that's for sure. But let's get into some of the questions here, everybody. Really do appreciate the support there, Jerome. And I'm with you, man. If I looked at that, the 3 L's, yeah, I'd be concerned. But this one, it's just if anybody actually watched that game, they would know that is just one of those games where you're just surprised that Spurs end up with nothing after it. It really was just a strange result considering how well we played for the majority of that game. Absolutely deserves so much more from it. But that's just the question I'm about to get into is everybody's sort of saying unlucky, but I think part of this is actually deserved. And maybe I'll go to you, Dermot, on this because I mean, some of these were tap-ins, right? And so can you say we were that unlucky if some of these are really easy chances to bury? So if you don't bury these chances, you're going to get punished for it. That's kind of the rule.
It's the Premier League. If you don't take your chances, you get punished. It's one of the best leagues in the world for a reason. It's the toughest league in the world for a reason. Look, football's all about taking your chances, all about taking your chances at the right time and the right time of the game. It's like any sport. You look at American football, you have to take your right touchdown at the right time. You get your quarterback throwing the ball to your forward line. He's got to catch the ball, say, with a minute left in the third quarter. You're going to make sure that a quarterback throws the ball directly at your forward player for him to catch it. It's the same with football. You're 6 yards out, you're supposed to bury it. But players can make mistakes. Players can fall over. Players can not cock things up, basically. And today was just one of those days where Sonny wasn't on the game and we just couldn't take our chances. We couldn't kick a cow up the backside. But it's football. And we all accept that. It happens in sport. It's a thing that happens. And look, we can all complain. The way I look at it is this squad has been left derelict for years.
Mm-hmm.
And we're now Ange's come in. He's done a few bits of business. We've got good players coming in. But I feel this is years of not looking after the squad and not replacing Harry Kane or not bringing in the striker to take over from Harry Kane. If Richarlison was there, would he have banged them away? We don't know. Probably would have done. We don't know. But
I don't think he would have. I think, that was basically our best front three. That's where I'm frustrated, Dermot. I think that was our best front three, technically. That was our best front three to pick from, and they just didn't do their job.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing, isn't it? This is years of neglecting the squad has now come home to roost.
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing it laid bare. And this is why January, it is so important we get a striker. We get somebody to come in that likes games like today, that he will put away them chances.
Yeah.
I'm not going to slag off Sonny because Sonny tried his best. He's got us out of enough holes over the years. So I'm not going to slag off the front three. I'm not going to slag off the team basically because I thought the team played well. But it's just one of those games. If you had a Harry Kane, if you had a proper number 9 that would bury them chances, then we would have taken 3 points today. That's the frustrating part. It's the way we've neglected previous managers over the years of rebuilding the squad.
You're going to say something, Michael?
Yeah. Sorry, no. It's like finish your first demo.
I just think that is probably the main thing come out today for me was this came home to roost today. We haven't done our transfer properly. We started it this summer under Ange, and it'd be good in summer. I know for a and I can confirm that we are going to bring in a striker this January. Now, who we're going after, I can't say, but I know we're bringing in one, and we're definitely bringing in a centre back as well. So this January, we'll have the same impact this January than we did when Conte had Bentancur and Kulu was brought in. And I can see it's going from strength to strength. But yeah, we need to learn. We need to bring in a striker to take these chances because we can't keep having this again.
You were going to say, Michael?
Yeah, even with like finishing, right? And I think Son was a bit isolated today, but I can't really blame him for missing chances because he actually put 3 chances away. 2 of those were really like tight offsides, right? Whereas my biggest issue is with the other guys, right? Because I know Son wasn't like involved, but he finished his chances. The other guys weren't offside. The other guys actually had like proper chances that could have easily been goals, right? Udoji, Kulusevski, Brennan Johnson, Porro, even Davis.
Almost everybody in the whole 11 had a good chance.
Hojbjerg's shot was amazing, but Emiliano Martinez just put one out of his ass, right? You can't really like account for that, right? But that's the issue I have with today. With Sonny, I think he actually kind of did his job today. You can argue that he didn't because he was offside, right? But it's just the way Villa plays. You have to like try your luck with it, right? Because like the first goal that he finished like shooting from the left into the right side of the goal, the chance that the second goal also really well taken. The third one was an obvious offside. This was the one that like Porro hit the post and it rebounded to Sonny. He was clearly offside in that position, right? But the other two, I think he took his chances really well and he actually finished it, right? But the issue was that he was slightly offside. So yeah, my issue is with timing of the runs from other players or just lack of like composure in front of the goal from the other guys.
Do you agree with me? Yeah, Tyler, go ahead. Sorry, I was going to
say, and also Sonny was getting into good positions. He was linking up fairly well. He'd get that ball over to like a Hill or someone, and they just couldn't get that final ball into him. And all the offsides, like if if he wasn't offsides, he wouldn't have gotten those chances, except for the run where Hojbjerg played him in. It would have been nice if he timed that one better, but I don't think Sonny was that bad, honestly. And that one ball from Brennan Johnson was a little bit behind him. Sonny might have went a little bit too forward, but no, I think overall just they just couldn't link up that well today, and that may be because Sonny wasn't in the right position. Maybe if we had like if things were switched around and we had Ollie Watkins at striker today, maybe we probably would have scored a lot more of those chances today. I don't know.
I might disagree with you there, Tyler, on a few reasons, because I think Spurs had no problem in actually linking up. Again, I just think it was just tapping the ball into the net was really the only thing we just couldn't do. We created open net chances, like where the goal was gaping open. And even in Sonny's case, I think he had those offside chances for sure that he definitely buried. But there were those two that, like, even the ball was slightly behind him, but that was an open net still. Like, he still probably should finish that. The slide, or no, wasn't the initial one with the open net that sailed over the bar? The one that sailed over the bar was offside.
Johnson was offside. Yeah,
Johnson was offside. But then you go to Hills. Then you go to Hills cross. I mean, it just goes right over his head. I mean, that's just again, it's one of those where even as a backup fullback and a yank, I feel like I could have gotten my head onto that and maybe tried to direct it towards the keeper there. But it's just a frustrating one where I think we did create chances and we did actually link up really well. We had no problem, causing Villa problems. It's just simple, just be clinical and just bury the chances that you very expertly created, right? And that's where I just find myself a bit sort of, I don't know whether to be positive or super frustrated. I think I'm just in between, where I'm really happy with the chances that we created. I'm really happy that we made a very entertaining game and we really went after them and we caused them so many more problems than they caused us. But the fact that we just couldn't do the simple part, which is, or kind of, the easy part after all the hard work, when you kind of make all that hard work, you usually get your reward by just getting a simple tap in. And it's not like these chances were difficult chances, half chances. These are chances that you really should be burying. And that's thanks to the creativity, thanks to the great work from our forwards. But you just got to bury it. You just got to take it home. And that's where I get a bit frustrated. And it's not just Sonny, though. I don't want to, kind of just focus on him because he's been really great for us this season. In fact, he's probably the one player you would say this season that has been more clinical than the rest of the team with the chances that he's had. It's been pretty much everybody else throughout this season that we've been kind of having these conversations with, like, could they be a bit more clinical? Kulusevski, I'd put in that sort of boat. He's had plenty of chances this season that he could have buried. I even look at too, some of the other forwards in this team, like Richarlison, like others in this team, when they've had chances that they could have buried, they didn't, and it ended up making the game a lot harder on ourselves. And it felt a bit similar to other games where we ended up only getting the win by like a goal or two when we could have easily won the game by 2, 3, 4 goals. And we made it a lot harder on ourselves and then expected the defense basically to carry us through the game. And when we have a makeshift backline like that, you can't expect, to get through the game against a team like Aston Villa. They will punish you for it. So for me, it's just really up to those forwards to bury the chances that were, really well created for them. I actually think they linked up quite well on the day. So for me, I would just say, I don't know if we were really, I think we were really deserving of something, but to say we were unlucky, I don't know if we were unlucky because I just think you have to bury those chances. And if you bury those chances, you get your reward, which is all 3 points.
Yeah. Look, I'm not slagging Sonny off because I don't think he deserved that today, but I'm just making the point that if we had a proper number 9, we would have taken them chances. But I'm not slagging Sonny off because Sonny's been more of a player for us over the years who has got us out of so many holes in his time at Tottenham. And he is a leader. He is our captain. And look, I just feel that today's just one of those days in football. Football can kick you when you're down, and it's kicked us, but we've come back up. Somebody put in the chat, Ken Hoddle says we actually outplayed the media darlings, Aston Villa, and I agree with that 100%. Do you know, we showed what we can do. Ange has changed. What if you're going to look at the bright side of this game? Imagine if this was Conte playing, or Mourinho, or Nuno. We'll be all slagging the team off after the game. We've lost 2-1, pulling our hair out. Poor Jack would probably be grey as a badger by now, and Michael would be bald, and me and Tyler would be pulling our hair out. But with Ange, right, it's something different. He's given us an optimism. He's changed the whole culture of the club. And even today, you can see it with the players. They never give up.
Yeah.
They tried
true.
and tried and tried. And that wasn't even our proper 11. That was a makeshift back four full of fullbacks.
Yeah,
And
and
I
for
have,
us,
Four fullbacks on the
yeah,
pitch.
and I have to say, Emerson did brilliantly at centre back. I'll give him
Yeah.
his due. Him and
Yeah.
Davies played well together, and
I
so
think the
did Destiny
backline
and Burrow.
outperformed expectations. I do
It
think the
did.
backline for the most. I think Davies will get into, maybe the individual moments that we didn't end up conceding, but
Yeah.
there were some fires that they had to put out, and they did pretty
Yeah.
well in, handling some of the moments that Aston Villa did cause us. And I actually would say Aston Villa's backline performed worse than actually our
It did.
backline. To be honest, they actually were really struggling with what we were trying to do. Whereas I think our backline just eventually, conceded because they're not as switched on or not as focused, I think, for the whole 90 minutes, or as composed, as we know Van de Ven and Romero can do. But I can't really. It's one of those games where I love to rip on Ben Davies. I love to rip on
I
Eric
think we
Dyer,
all would.
but I don't know if I can really do it as much as I normally would, because I still, again, would look towards those forwards and just tell them they need to do their job as well, because I think that makeshift back line did better than probably what most expected. Not saying that that's, a complete excuse for them or anything like that and the goals that they conceded, but I do think they did better than expected. Davies did cost us, I think, both goals, but I think Emerson, Poro, Udoji, the back line itself, I think did better than I thought. And especially, considering the first half, right? It was just, we should have been 3-4 goals up by then. And maybe the defense probably wouldn't have conceded, had they got, those extra goals, for the insurance, just also for the feeling of confidence. But again, with guys like Davies, we know that they can switch off in these moments and end up, costing us the momentum and costing us the game. But it really is one where I can't put it all on the back line. I really do have to focus a lot on the forwards. You about to say something, Michael?
Yeah, but Jack, even if they did concede, right? If we took our chances in the first half, it wouldn't have mattered.
It wouldn't
right?
have mattered.
It's just a worse goal difference, I guess, right? But if we were 3-0 up like we should have been in the first half, then Villa can score 2 goals, but we still win the game 3-2. The issue was that, especially in the first half, we just didn't do our job. That's the whole thing, right? And even with the backline, right? I feel like Udoji and Poro played really, really well today. And I feel like one thing I was really scared about was them going against the wingers, or like it's more of a wide players in Villa's case, because they don't really play with like dedicated wingers, right? But I was afraid that they are going to struggle, especially Poro defensively. But I feel like both of them actually handled the wide players really well today, especially Udogi, in my opinion. The issue was that Villa, when they saw that they will struggle with our wide backs, right? They switched to attacking Ben Davies and Emerson Royal. And even though both of those boys did well in like 95% of cases, unfortunately with Villa's front line, all it took was like one chance for Rory Watkins to bury one, right?
Yep.
And listen, my commentators read out the stat that he's the most prolific like player in 2023 after Haaland and Salah, right? So it's not really a surprise that he buried that chance, right? But again, we come back to the same point. He can bury this chance. He can score the goal. If we do our job, it doesn't matter, right? We are at this point of the season again, where we just have to outscore the opposition. We cannot rely on keeping the opposition out of our net, right?
There's a chance to take Villa out of the game. Like if we find ourselves 2-3-0 up, do Villa really go after us in the way that, we kept them in the game, right? And as long as they stay in the game, they will take whatever chance comes their way. And they absolutely did. And they punished us for it. But had we taken those chances earlier, I think they probably would have put their heads down and they would have just maybe accepted, this is going to be a long night for us. Spurs are really up for this one. And we'll see if we can get out of this without it, being 5, 6, 7 goals. Because it really did feel like that sort of performance from us. We were really tearing them apart. And the fact that we didn't end up finishing our dinner and just, finishing our chances, we kept them in the game. So like I said, it's hard to say we were unlucky because we sort of kept Villa in the game. It was up to us to finish them and we just couldn't. Tyler, I think you're about to say something.
No, and I think with what Ange had available with him, I think the back line, everything was set up pretty perfectly with what we had available. I think we were a bit small, so aerially on set pieces and crosses, we were gonna get caught out today, sadly.
Mhm.
Like that first goal, the Ollie Watkins goal that was ruled offsides, the cross. Our guys just Davies and like Emerson is decent in the air, but Davies he's gonna get beat in the air, and on their first goal.
It's a short back line, right? We had a very
Yeah.
short team, and I think they took advantage of that actually with some of the set pieces, and that's part of the reason why, right? It's a makeshift back line. You can't.
Yeah.
I think we knew that we weren't going to be at our best. We knew they weren't going to be perfect. And King Hoddle saying nothing discourages me about this game going forward. We knew beforehand that the center back pairing was makeshift and inferior. It was simply a case of not finishing the numerous chances we created. That's how I sort of feel. But IrishHotspur, good to see you, Dave-O. And he's saying Davey switched off before halftime and the second goal. He lost Ollie Watkins. Same old Ben Davies. I want him gone. Anybody want to speak on sort of the 2 goals that we conceded?
Look,
Yeah.
We all know the back line needs changing. We all know Ben Davies, Eric Dyer are not good enough. We all know that. And we can go on it till we're blue in the face. And look, we know he switched off, and they even said it on my watch along. Ben Davies, again, making another mistake. But we have to be honest about it. We didn't take our chances. You can blame Ben Davies for conceding the 2 goals to the back line, but you can also blame the forward line for not taking the chances. So you can blame both sets of players, but you cannot blame the commitment. Yet if we took our chances, it wouldn't matter what Ben Davies done, because we would have been 3 or 4-0 up. But because we didn't take our chances, Ben Davies makes a mistake. It lays it more bare how bad we are at the back, how bad of a player Ben Davies can be. And it's sort of everyone, and I know what Dave is saying. And he said also in the chat, and I sort of agree with it, we all seem to blame the front line, but we also need to take accountability for the back as well, for their mistakes. But if we took our chances, we'd be annoyed that we've conceded, but it wouldn't be such a big deal. Do you know what I mean? So it's sort of 51 and 50 the other.
I personally blamed the defense in the last game.
Yeah.
Like in this game, I'm still frustrated with the defense. But I think the last game, I didn't blame really. I don't know. Like, I think the last game was more on the defense, really. I think they were terrible building out from the back. They were terrible in certain defensive moments as well. They switched off, in those 2 goals that we conceded. It was really poor defending. And I think in the case of Villa today, I think it's bad defending, in both scenarios. But we were far better going forward, and we were far better building out from the back. Whereas in the last game, I think we were dreadful defensively, and we were dreadful building out from the back and actually in possession. Whereas today, I think we were better in possession, and we ended up conceding the goals. But I just think today, you have to put the forward line, into consideration. You have to give them plenty of the blame, because these are tap-ins. Like, these are tap-ins. In the last game, I wouldn't put that much blame on the forward line, because they didn't have really all that much service really to begin with. Whereas this game, they got so much service.
And I think also, very quickly, look, Ben Davies does deserve some criticism because of the mistakes he's made. But the forward line should take responsibility as well. It's about taking your chances and keeping chances out. We couldn't keep it. If we know our back line is not going to be capable enough of keeping out chances, we should then be capable enough of putting them chances away. As I said, if we went 4-0 up and we conceded 2 goals, we'd be annoyed. But I think this lays bare the problem we've got at the back. This lays bare how badly we need centre-backs in, how badly we need proper centre-backs to come in to back up Van de Ven and Romero. Because if we don't get these proper backups, we're going to be in the same situation again and again. And it's like papering over the cracks. If we took our chances today, I know I said it before, we'd be annoyed, but because it's laid bare now how bad our backline is, how bad we're struggling for centre-backs, it really lays it bare, because we didn't take our chances and we were punished. The Premier League will punish you. If you make a mistake, it's the toughest league in the world. It will take your pants down, kick you up the ass, and let you run around in pain, because it's there you have to take your chances. If you don't, you would be punished, and this is what the Premier League is about. We're not taking the chances today. We got punished for it. It's very hard to blame one and the other. Do you know what I mean?
Dave,
it's how I feel.
Dave, we have a super chat here from Al Ben, but it seems like, one of us maybe has said something that you really disagree with. Do you think more blame should be on the defense today?
Look, I think so. I just want to come on and clarify my point because it's hard through messages sometimes. I think, actually, look, sorry, first of all, take Al Ben's super chat and I'll come back and clarify my
Okay.
point.
Al Ben saying, even a 10th place finish, I'm still confident with this manager. I can only imagine what he can do with more refined players. We'll be saying Pep who? Michael, you're nodding your head and laughing.
Okay. Let's calm down with Pep who. He's like one of the greatest managers ever, right? So I am completely confident in Ange. I think I really like watching our team, which is something I haven't enjoyed in like past 4 years, right? Even though we lost today, I was
That
absolutely
was scintillating play at times.
watching us, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, but one thing I want to clarify before Dave kicks off with the blame thing, right? I want to clarify. I'm not blaming anyone. It's not like, for example, against Wolves, I was blaming Dyer for the goals, right? It was like, clearly it is your fault. You fucked up. You are not good enough, etc. Right?
Same here.
I think the difference today is that it's just me pointing out what was missing, right? Because like it is a fact we lacked the finishing edge, right? But it's not that I'm going to like blame Son or blame Johnson or say Kulusevski, you are not good enough because you hit the post, right? It was just a bit more bent on the goal, and we are like celebrating a beautiful goal by Kulusevski, right? So it's not really about like blaming, it's more about like just pointing out, listen, this is what we have to improve on, right? So that's the main point I want to like clarify with my comments, right?
Look,
Dave, I mean, we were scintillating though going forward, and Al Ben is sort of saying like he has confidence in Ange because of how well we, clearly played on the day, and he's seen very good things from Ange, and even with the 10th place finish, he's convinced in what we're trying to do here. And then we'll get on to Ben Davies.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with him. That's one thing I think I take away from today's game because, look, it's a weird game. I don't know how to feel. We put in so much hard effort, desire, and we played a lot better than what I thought we would. But we still came out the wrong side. And when we lose, it annoys me. But one thing I walk away from today's game with is that Ange Postecoglou is the right man to bring us forward. He made changes today that got us all excited. That was the reason why we got that performance we've seen today, because of him. And, look, credit to the Celso today. I thought was actually outstanding today in terms of on the ball and the way he played and stuff like that. But Ange Postecoglou took out Eric Dyer today, brought in Emerson, made them bold changes that other managers have failed to do. And by doing that, you're looking at players that can step in and still play this system, and there wasn't much of a drop-off in terms of us in possession and on the ball going forward today. So, that's one thing I take away from. Ange Postecoglou is the right man to sit here, back, and get more players in the transfer window so that when this does happen again, because it's going to happen every season around this period because the sheer amount of games that are accumulated between international football, European football, and the cup games and the Premier League, you're going to get injuries and suspensions and stuff like that. What's let us down in years gone by is the squad depth. You give Postecoglou a couple of under windows, more players that suit his system. You will see us not having these periods in and around these dark months that me and Jack warned about. So on that, I think that's a big plus, and I think Al Ben's spot on. Ange Postecoglou is the right man to take this club forward. Absolutely spot on, Al Ben.
And Dave, we're getting such, everybody's all over the place on sort of, who to blame for this one. I'm trying my best to sort of, point out that I agree with you. I think Davies really should bear most of the responsibility on both goals conceded, but it just felt like we could have easily been 3-0, 4-0 up. That it wouldn't have mattered really, like if Ben Davies had, conceded those goals, because Villa would have been already well out of it. Do you feel like it's maybe, are we protecting him too much, or are we just not really looking at those goals, in strongly enough or in isolation enough?
Look.
Or what were you trying to say in the chat, maybe?
I'm here. I don't want people to agree with me, right? Everyone's more entitled to their own view on how they see the game. But for me, in order to defend the likes of that backline last week, I heard a lot of, well, they played well for 90 minutes, but the forwards didn't do that and Son didn't do that. Okay, fine. But the backline was the issue. Now, today, we're still going on. Oh, the forwards didn't take the chances. 100% I get that. They played much better. They created a lot of chances, didn't take them. However, we haven't been clinical all season. But the difference was the back line was able to get us the result we needed, was able to deliver the clean sheet we needed. It was able to keep possession the way we needed. These guys stepping in simply aren't good enough. And when they step in, there's questions asked about everybody else. Let's just get to the crux of the problem. I explained last season, you can't expect to score 3, 4, 5 goals every single week in football. It's impossible. But what you do need to do is tidy up that back line and keep clean sheets. We've seen the result of it over the summer when we eventually got Van der Ven in beside Romero, bring a Dozier in. All of a sudden, we look 10 times better because of that back line. Now that it's back to where it is and we're using like some Ben Davies again, all of a sudden we're losing games and everyone else is getting the blame. We're looking at other areas. Let's focus on an area that we did fix. We didn't do enough strength and depth in. That's coming back to haunt us again. That's your problem. We all knew going into Villa it was going to be a tough game. We all expected it. We all know. You might. I get we created a lot of chances there, but let's be real. Going into this game, every single fan was hoping we'd come out of this by 1 goal. Jack, I remember having a conversation with you in the pre-match, and I was saying, I don't fancy relying on these guys if it is going to be a tight game. I don't fancy it. And that is the problem. That's your problem. It's that back line. We can sit here and analyze the chances we missed. I get it. Fine. But at the end of the day, most football games are decided by a goal here or there. And we can't keep them out. Aston Villa, we were expecting to create a lot of chances. We kept them quiet for large majorities. But it's the stupid things. It's the nature of the goals as well. It's not like it's brilliant player from Villa. No. It's a free kick before half-time. Ben Davies, people say play Ben Davies is more experienced than Darrington. With that experience, he knows you do not switch off right before half-time. Goes before half-time, changes games. What does he do? Lose Pau Torres. Have I seen him do this plenty of times before? Yes. Yeah. When I go on to the second goal, what does he do? Allow Ollie Watkins to drop in to pick up. Now, as soon as I seen it, I shouted danger on the watch along, and then lets him run in behind him without tracking the run either. It's absolutely unforgivable. And for me, that's why I say these old players take the blame 100%. There's a reason why when every manager has to fall on some of these guys or start relying on them, and it's especially across that back line, everything else we do, despite the players we bring in, despite who's in the dugout, it all comes crashing down because of certain individuals because they don't have the metal or the bottle to stand up. In tight games like this where people are going for Champions League football and their Champions League rivals, it was always going to be decided by 1 goal. And that's why I put the blame on Ben Davies today. And I'm not so much focused on the forward line. Yes, we should be more clinical, 100%. But Davies lost us that game today. Sorry, I'm not going to do it. Be 1 second.
No worries. Tyler, you had something to say, and then I have a counterpoint for Dave.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, going into the game when we've got Davies and Emerson in the back line, we're most likely going to concede a goal or 2, right? So we set up very attacking, which was 100% the right decision to do. We didn't play Skip. We didn't play Hojbjerg. We played the attacking players, made Kulu come a little more inside, had Lo Celso in, and we created a shit ton of chances, and we had to score today. So at the end of the day, yes, it was mostly on our attackers because we needed to score goals. We needed to score those goals. I know that's a lot of pressure, and Sonny's being relied on to do most of it right now, and we just need to bring in another goal scorer. But we know what we're going to get from Davies. We're 30 seconds in, and he gave the ball away immediately. We know he's not good enough. We know he can't stay switched on the whole game. We saw against Wolves, he cost us that game as well. He has lapses of judgment. That second goal, the Ollie Watkins goal, he all of a sudden cleared up space for Ollie Watkins to go in the middle because he saw something, a little bit out wide. That wasn't for him to go and take out. That was for Udoka to deal with. He opened up the middle, and I see Emerson getting a lot of the crap for that second goal. That was not his fault. Davies opened up the space. Emerson tried to. There was no reacting to what Davies did. He let one of the best strikers in the league get all the space, plenty of time to shoot. Emerson tried his best to get to it and make a diving effort, but it didn't happen.
Emerson too, just quickly, even if feel like we want to put blame on him at any stage on the goals. He did put out some fires at one stage where he had to basically
100%.
like where he did really, there was 1 or 2 occasions where Villa actually had the numbers going forward where they actually outnumbered us on some of the counterattacks. But Emerson did a good job, I thought, on sort of closing down the angles where they weren't, able to cut back inside into the midfield to open us up. He did a decent job actually at sort of, putting out some fires where I wouldn't exactly say that as much with Davies really on the day. But this is my counterpoint to Dave here in that, Dave, you and I both knew that this defense was sort of bailing us out at times this season, or not bailing us out, but when we weren't bearing the chances, we could rely on Romero and Van de Ven to sort of see us through the game and Vicario. But when these injuries happen, you and I both said to each other, yeah, we can't rely on this defense to, keep a clean sheet. It's going to be up to the forward line to sort of help us out, step it up a little bit. Have they really stepped up enough, to get us through some of these games, knowing, that they're not going to be as, switched on or as competent as sort of Van de Ven and Romero? You and I kind of both said to each other, this forward line is going to need to perform a little bit better than they have been if we are going to expect to win some of these games.
No, look, I hear you, and it's an absolute valid point, and I agree with you. But people don't talk about the injuries we've had in the forward areas as well. That's a massive contributing. But when it comes to the backline, injuries. But when it comes to the forward line, no one wants to mention the injuries we've had there. It's glossed over. Look, I get it. Like I said, we should. On another day, you probably go in that 4-5-1, right? It didn't happen today. But we're getting back into the rounds of where we've been before, where everyone's looking at everyone else instead of just going straight to the problem. And look, there's no excuse for it, right? Emerson is a right back. This is a guy people have some songs about getting him out of our club. Davies has never had that. But yet he steps into centre back. He costs us. I'd argue he was the problem for the second goal last week against Wolves. But Emerson steps in, doesn't cost us. We want to shift the blame onto the forward players who usually, and over the last 4 years, are the players, and it's the main reason why we are not down in the bottom half of the Premier League and stuff like that. So for me, I think we just need to stop glossing over the problem. I know some people don't like pulling out individuals, but it has to be done. We've seen you took Dyer out of the team. You bring in Emerson, it's an upgrade. You bring in Van de Ven over the summer, it's an upgrade. You took out Hugo Lloris, you bring in Vicario, it's an upgrade. We've got to stop going back to these same old, look to these same old players, looking for them to produce something different. It ain't going to happen. We need to accept it. And I know I'm just here to defend the forward line because I think we're very unfair to them because they've been the only ones performing the last few years. We look for them to dig us out of a hole every single time. And when they don't, we get frustrated about it. But more eyes need to just go and pinpoint the problem because if we don't, we're never going to get what we want going forward.
And it's not like they didn't create chances, the forward line, and it's not like they didn't link up really well and cause Villa problems. It's just, geez, lads, just put it away. But Tyler, do you agree with sort of what Dave is sort of trying to point out here, that maybe the defense, or in the case of Davies and others, right? Like sometimes we want to just, shift the blame onto maybe a new person or onto, something else because we sort of find ourselves talking about the same players a lot of times. Do you feel like Dave is right that no, we have to continue to remind ourselves that, guys like Davies just aren't really going to be good enough if we really expect to win games like this?
Yeah, 100%. And at the same time, I'm happy we didn't throw Dorrington in, even though after watching the game and seeing all the chances we created, I think Dorrington probably would have done a better job of keeping those goals out of the net than Davies did today. But no, we know what we're gonna get from a Davies. We know what we're gonna get from a Dyer. We got it in January. It should have already happened. They both should have been gone, and we should have brought in other center backs. But in January, it's got to happen. We just can't. We cannot rely on them for anything anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe
King Hoddle
if
saying, look how well we defended with Romero and Mickey until the Chelsea game. Davies is a
Yeah.
clear drop-off. We've seen a drop-off in a lot of levels. Actually, just though, Tyler, maybe a follow-up here, and this bit of a tangent, and I actually might ask the majority of the panel about this, but the fact that Emerson actually started over Eric Dyer, what does that, then say, right, about Eric Dyer, and what does that say maybe about Ange and sort of his confidence in the defense? Maybe shows that he doesn't have a lot of confidence then in some of the center backs that he has to pick from if he is playing Emerson ahead of Dyer, right?
Yeah, well, I think Ange had made it clear that Dyer wasn't going to be a part of the plans this year, and for whatever reason.
Oh, is that me?
No,
No,
I
no.
can
Okay,
hear
okay,
you.
okay. I'll throw that one to you, Michael, and then I'll go back to Tyler. What do you make of that? Right, that Emerson is picked ahead of Dyer says something.
Good. I don't want to see that guy ever again, right? But with Dorrington, right? Because like Phillips was injured, but with Dorrington, I haven't seen the kid, right? I've watched like bits and pieces of our under 21s. I know he's good, right? I know he's really, really good for that under 21 level, right? But for me, like I've seen people blaming the decision of putting Davies and Royal on Ange, right? Like criticizing the decision. For me, putting Dorrington is an unknown, right? I cannot say with like 100% certainty that playing Dorrington instead of Davies or Royal would have like prevented Villa from scoring one of those chances, right? So for me, like we just have to like deal with this makeshift backline, right? They are shit. We all know that, right? Especially, I mean, the center back pairing, they are shit. They won't keep the opposition out of our net, right? So yeah, it's honestly frightening that we have to play a right back, and it's yet again a thing that we can blame on the club for not solving. Right? We knew it was an issue, boys. I've been a part of this channel for, if I'm not mistaken, like 18 months, I think, or close to 20. Right?
Wow.
20 months ago was the first time that I joined your stream and
Wow.
I joined your fan show, right? And I kid you not, one of the first talks that we had, the three of us that we had, was shitting on Dyer and Davies for the performance. I kid you not, that was one of the first times we talked, right? And still, after almost 2 years, we still talk about the same thing. We still talk about these idiots being part of our squad, right? And unfortunately, like, Royal is not good enough to be a center back. He's not tall enough. Like, he doesn't read the game well enough, but he's still better than this bum Dyer, right? So
Yeah.
it's really like I can't expect more from this defense because I know they are not good enough to play that style of play, right? So it's really like a strange situation that we are put in.
Pretty
right?
sure most people who have come onto this channel at some stage were pissed off by Eric Dyer or Ben Davies enough that they just felt like they needed to grab a membership or something to have their say. But I think, Tyler, sorry, you were finishing a point earlier, and then you got cut off there, and then I want to go to Dermot.
No, you're good. Michael pretty much, summed it
Okay.
up. I'm tired of talking about Dyer and Davies anyway.
And well, I'm going to ask Dermot just quickly on just Emerson, playing, instead of Eric Dyer. Does that sort of speak to maybe Ange's lack of choices and also probably the lack of confidence that he even has in his sort of defensive options that he is playing Emerson there?
Yeah, look, I said it before. The years of not providing a proper back four in the transfer market has now come to bite us back in the ass. We tried to sort it out this summer with upgrades with Van der Ven and Vicario on Destiny. Great, but we haven't got great backups, and we need to get them backups in January. Look, Eric Dyer for me is the most useless footballer that's ever been produced from any country or any league. I thought Emerson did well today. Emerson's not a centre back, but we at Tottenham should not be using a fullback as a centre back. Let's get that straight. We should have a proper, competent centre back to come in to take the place of Mickey van der Ven or Romero. We had a back line full of fullbacks. I understand players have to learn how to play in other positions. I get that. But we should not be there looking to Emerson, right, can you play centre-back today? We should have gone out, and this is why I'm saying it. The previous transfer windows have now come back and bite us on the ass. Because we haven't built on any of the success or any of the platforms that were built for us. And just now come in, he's having to use what he has. So this is where January comes in so important. But again, I would not criticize Emerson today. He tried, but he's a fullback at the end of the day. He's not a centre back.
If you had to pick Dermot, though, between a centre back and a striker that we could have maybe added this summer, and which one of those could we have maybe needed more today? Would we have been better off with a striker that could have buried some of those chances, or would we have been better off with a better sort of backup center back of some type? What would have won us the game?
I think look, I'm being honest. I think a striker would have won us the game today.
Okay.
Honestly, I do. I think a proper number 9 would have put away them chances. And yeah, we can all look at the defense and say they are going to make a cock up now and again. You're guaranteeing the game. Davies is going to drop off at some point in the game. So you guarantee that. So you need, and Davies right. Our forward line has got Zap for hole for years, and we haven't really sorted out the defense, and we've only just started. So it's going to be a long road, but look, please, Davis and Dyer, just go. I think Eric Dyer not playing. I think Ange has come in and say, right, Eric, you're not part of my plans. You're not part of this club anymore. You need to go. And we need to sell him in January.
What were we missing today, Michael? Striker or center back? What would you have rather had? What would have won us the game? You know, a proper center back or a striker?
Ironically, even though we like whined for the whole stream about us missing chances, ironically, I think a proper center back or one of the two that weren't available today. If we had those guys in that backline, I think we keep Villa out because they didn't really have many chances, right? A proper center back doesn't allow Pau Torres to score the header like he did. A proper center back doesn't give Watkins as much space as Davies did because he gets distracted by, I don't know, a pigeon flying over or whatever he was distracted with, right? So ironically, I think a proper center back would have made us a lot more secure in the back and allowed us to commit ourselves to the forward play, right? So yeah, but honestly, it's really a tough question because you said a center back or a striker. I want both.
Yeah.
I want the striker.
You can't have both, Michael. You can only pick one, Michael. You can only pick one. You can't have both. You can't.
If we had both, we would have won 7-0. It felt like, but what could have gotten us over the line? And I think both answers can be correct. Tyler, what about you? I think you were nodding your head when he said center back.
Yeah, for me, it would, as much as obviously we need a striker, we need another goal scorer to help Sonny out and help the team out in general to, just put the ball away and get a bigger lead to, relieve some pressure on us. But it's got to be center back because if we did have a proper center back today, if we stop them, it's only going to open up the field and get us more chances up the pitch for our guys to score today. But yeah, Keith Edwards right here is definitely spot
I was going to
on.
transition over to this, so maybe you might as well do it now. Keith Edwards with a super chat. Appreciate your support, man. He says, Bentancur coming off completely changed the game. Maybe I'll throw this one to you then, Michael. I mean, it was a really sad injury to see, considering he just came back. Did we play him too soon? And thoughts on Hojbjerg coming in? Did he play all right, or did we see a significant drop-off because of Hojbjerg coming in? And also, did we perhaps play Bentancur too soon, or is it because of the challenge? Like, what did you make of the injury?
Jack, to share, you are throwing me in the deep water here because it was a Polish guy that made that challenge. So, right. Makeshift Polish guy. Let's be honest about it, right? His mother is Polish, right? And he chose to represent Poland, right? But yeah, with Mati Cash, right? Listen, for our national team, I really like him, right? But in the Premier League, this motherfucker's injured 2 of our players already. One, Doherty, he put him out for the rest of the season, first contest season, right? And right now, let's not kid ourselves. That was a really rash and dumb tackle to make. Especially, nobody can convince me that he aimed for the ball. I think he knew. I'm not saying that he wanted to injure Bentancur, right? But he wanted to stop the play, and he wanted to do it by fouling Bentancur, right? And one thing I've seen on Reddit is Ange saying that it's not his knee, it's not his ligaments, or not his ACL. So that's a good thing, because the one thing that I feared the most was that this tackle will renew his injury. He said that it's something with his ankle, right? But Bentancur, I know walking off the pitch is not really an indicator of whether the player is injured or not, because we've seen players walking off the pitch and being out for the next 7 months after that, right? but he said that it's a problem with his ankle. So I'm just hopeful that it was just, bruised or, that damaged, mechanically damaged by the tackle itself. But I just hope that it's not something like long. And I don't. I think Bentancur was actually ready to play now, and he looked ready. He looked sharp. He looked like we were controlling this midfield much better when he was on the pitch. So I don't think it's an issue on our part. I just think it's a stupid tackle that ended up in him being taken off, right? And one thing I want to add also is ironically, even though I think not ironically, sorry, I think it's a good thing that we have taken him off. We need to preserve him. We need to let him actually rest and not just overplay him or try to force him off the pitch. I'm perfectly fine with him going off at 30th minute, right? We need to preserve his health, especially in the dire situation with injuries that we find ourselves.
Because with everybody dropping like flies, you do have to be careful. Dermatron, was it a red card, Matty Cash's challenge?
Oh, yeah. I called it a red card straight away in my watch along. I really did. Now, with Bentancur, I'm hearing it's only his ankle. So I don't know any more than that, but it's not his ACL. It's his ankle that they took him off for. Look, it's a straight red for me. If you're going to say Romero's was a red and Destiny's was a red in the Chelsea game, what's the difference? What's the difference between Destiny's tackle and that tackle? No difference whatsoever. It was a straight red, didn't go anywhere near the ball. The referee today, I thought, dropped a couple of hard decisions. Cash should have gone, and so should have the captain, Villa's captain as well. He should have gone.
Yeah.
I swear to God that the referee, and it was the penalty we should have got. The VAR. VAR is supposed to there to help the referee if he's not sure. So why is VAR looking at some decisions but not looking at all of them? What's this? Is this suit yourself VAR? Oh, it's a Tottenham player. Well, we won't bother looking at that. Oh, it's a Villa player. Oh, we have to look at this. Do you know, the game's supposed to be fair. And VAR was not doing its job today. That was a red card. People say it wasn't. I think it was a red. I think he should have been sent off.
What about you, Tyler? Was that a straight red for you?
I wouldn't have given it a red. I mean, it was a dangerous tackle. Yes. I mean, it was a dirty tackle. I don't know. I mean, let's say if our player had done that, I would obviously be pissed if that was given a red. But and I think it was a good yellow. And I just hate that him getting injured and whatever, and Hojbjerg coming on, and for us to drop off the quality. I hate to blame Hojbjerg at all because it's not entirely his fault, but he's just got so much less quality than Bentancur does on the ball. And when losing Bentancur in that game, it definitely messed up the midfield a little bit. I think Lo Celso still played really good, and Hojbjerg didn't even play. It wasn't even like Hojbjerg played bad, but if you're bringing in a more defensive player, he really doesn't do that much.
Or Bentancur is just playing that well, and he was causing Villa that much problems that just seeing him go was just a huge loss. Even if Hojbjerg, did decent enough, we still were going to be missing Bentancur because he really was playing that well.
But you would hope Hojbjerg would start cleaning up a little bit better. He doesn't get back and make tackles and stop counterattacks that much.
I have to disagree with you, Tyler. I'm sorry. I totally disagree with you. I thought Hojbjerg played well today. I thought he came on, he'd done a job, he'd done what he was supposed to do, which is sit in front of the back four and tidy it up. I thought Hojbjerg played well today. I really did. I'm sorry. I don't normally disagree with you, Tyler. Really don't. But this one I have to. Hojbjerg did play well today, and I can't say he didn't have a bad game today. And he did a lot of good. He came over. He had a disciplined performance for me today. That's just my own opinion. I thought he was very disciplined. He should have scored that shot he got.
Well, brilliant shot, by the way. What it was.
Yeah.
Martinez again pulling one out of his ass.
Yeah, I just think he came on, he'd done a job. He's not Bentancur. We all know Hojbjerg's not Bentancur. We know Bentancur's on a different level. But I felt today with Bentancur and Lo Celso, two South American players in the middle of the pitch, really just rubbing off on each other. That bit of South American magic. Lo Celso played well against Brazil. Bentancur played well for Uruguay, and they were taking that momentum into today's game. And I just felt we had that bit of flair in the middle of the park. We had that bit of South American flair, which is great to see, and we've really missed that. And I didn't feel we missed Maddison today. Well, we did last week.
It's not like we needed to create more chances.
No,
It's not like we needed to create more chances. In fact,
I just thought
I want to argue this a tiny bit, because yes, we created a lot of chances. Yes, we played like quality balls, but I feel like Maddison is just that much better, in my opinion. That some of those chances are well timed. Some of those passes are, more crisp. I don't want us to fall into a trap of we don't need Maddison. I know you are not saying.
I don't think we're going to fall into that trap. I think it's usually an excuse that people use when we don't create enough chances. It's like, well, we're really missing Maddison, but on this day in particular, it's just I don't think we were.
I think there's our backup. Yeah. Sorry, Michael, I don't mean to interrupt you, but there's Lo Celso's our backup for Maddison.
Yeah.
If you want a backup, there he is.
Yeah.
He showed today he wants to play for Tottenham. He wants to play for the manager. He wants to prove he can play. Maybe he's playing for a move. Who knows? But there's your backup.
Will he do it consistently, though? We'll have to see. But I want to go back to Hojbjerg real quick. I wasn't saying that today in particular he was horrible. I'm just saying, he just has a lot less quality than Bentancur, so it was noticeable when he came off. And also in the Wolves game, I just mean in general, like in the Wolves game, that last goal he didn't get back. He could have got back. He stopped to argue the call instead of getting back. I think sometimes I'd like for him to get back and be a little more defensive, because he does have the quality to do so.
Yeah, look, I agree. Everyone was bad, but I don't know. I've got that little bit for Hojbjerg. I do. He's my Graham Roberts. And I can remember Graham Roberts play. He's nowhere near the great man, but he's there. If you're in the trenches and you need somebody to back you up in the trenches, lay down your body, Hojbjerg is your man. He will do it for you.
Lots of divisiveness in the chat here, Michael. So how about you settle the Hojbjerg debate, and then we'll get on to, I think, Ellie's super chat there about the red card again. Hojbjerg, for you, I mean, was he sloppy? Was he poor, like a lot of people are saying in the chat? What did you make of his performance?
I want to say something about Hojbjerg, but also about Lo Celso, right? With Hojbjerg, Tyler said, he's not Bentancur. I don't expect him to be as adventurous as, like creative as Bentancur, as like silky as Bentancur. So yes, in that sense, there is a drop off from Bentancur to Hojbjerg, like there is a drop off from Maddison to Lo Celso, right? But I think I want both of them eventually to be upgraded on, right? Both Lo Celso and Hojbjerg. But what they showed me today was that they are solid enough, and they are like, they are good enough to play against, like, not the top opposition, but all the way down from like 8th to 20th. If they keep performing like this, I think we have good backups in the midfield, right? And with Lo Celso, I think me and you, Jack, we talked like 2 days ago during the fan show, and we talked about Lo Celso, right? And I said, this is your time to show us what you are made of, right? This is your time. You pretty much have an open door to a starting 11 for at least like a month, right? And this month consists of like 8 or 9 games or whatever, at least, right? So right now, show me what you are made of. Show me that you actually care. Show me that you want to play. And if you want to play for a move out, like, fair enough, right? If you want to play for Tottenham, fair enough. But show me that you have enough quality. And if he keeps performing like he did today, I'm really happy with what he's shown today. He will never be as good as Maddison. I always said that, right? He will never be as good as Maddison. But if the drop-off is not big, then I'm perfectly fine with him sitting on the bench and being our backup player, like using him when Maddison isn't available. That's the type of performance I was looking for. He was creative. He was like, really, really adventurous. Really, like, he linked up the play. By the way, what a strike for the goal! Let's not miss that, right? It was a really good shot. So yeah, that's basically it, right? For me, Hojbjerg is nothing like out there special, but he is a steady Eddie. The only issue I have with steady Eddies is that we also called Ben Davies a steady Eddie, and I don't want like this situation with Hojbjerg to end up like it is with Davies, right? So that we keep Hojbjerg in the team for like 5 years to come because he's a steady Eddie, because you can rely on him, right? But then with time, he just deteriorates and starts being a bad player that we then won't be able to move on, right? That's why I'm saying eventually I want to upgrade on them, not this January, but maybe in the summer. I think we should look for maybe a player with more of an Ange type performance in them, right?
Yeah, I can see that. For me, I don't think the reason we lost this game is because of Hojbjerg. I can understand that Bentancur was playing that well, that it was a huge loss, and there was inevitably going to be a drop-off with losing a guy that was playing that well and tearing apart Villa, but I don't think he really was playing poorly enough that he actually cost us the game really in any sort of fashion. And I think there were moments when he actually did, play some nice passes and did break the lines of that midfield of Villa. But yeah, there was definitely a difference between him and Bentancur. Yes, Tyler.
No, I was just agreeing. I was like,
okay, yeah. Ellie in here, good to see you, Ellie. She's saying red card all day long. When I first watched it, I looked at it as a pretty nasty challenge, Ellie. I wasn't really appealing for it to be a red card. I kind of just saw it as a pretty cynical, bad challenge that definitely is a yellow card, but I personally did not see it straight away as a red. But I can see why some might, considering how many challenges we've seen this season that were probably more like yellow cards that were given as red cards, right? And Romero's maybe even being one of them recent. So with that sort of context, yeah, maybe it could have been given a red card, considering there have been far worse challenges we've seen this season be given only as sort of given as only sort of yellows, and we've seen challenges that were not nearly as bad be given as reds. So it's been all kind of inconsistent for sure. Dermatron, it looks like you have to go though.
Yeah, I do. I have to go. I'm doing a special at 8 for Terry Venables. I'm just putting something together on the great man's passing today. So me and Philip are doing. I need to go and have my dinner because I've been on the go since 10:30 this morning, so I haven't stopped yet. So I'm going to have my dinner and then get this special show out. I wanted to do something today for Terry Venables anyway, and the great manager. Our last manager to win us an FA Cup. That says everything. That says everything. But yeah. Just if you like what I have to say and you want to follow me, yeah, get over to HFC till I die. But like here first, thanks, Jack, Michael,
thank you,
Tyler.
Tron.
It's been a pleasure as always.
Later, Dermot.
Yeah. Have a good rest of your Sunday, my man. Thank you for helping us out.
Yeah.
See you later, Tron.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one, my man.
Jack, I have to shoot off soon too. So
okay, we'll just wrap things up here just in just a couple of minutes here. Big up to you, Ellie, though. And then she also says Hojbjerg played quite well, nearly scored, played some good passes. Don't blame Pierre. He got stuck in too. Ellie, I don't think it was Pierre's best performance by any means, but I don't think he was playing so poorly that in any way he was sort of costing us the game in any sort of fashion. But I do agree with Michael and Tyler that Bentancur is different from Hojbjerg. They offer, a different type of skills. And also, even in that game in general, like Bentancur just seemed really on it. And he looked like he was sort of running the show, basically, in that number 6 position. And I don't think Hojbjerg was playing nearly as well as what Bentancur was. But was the drop-off really that significant that it cost us the game? Absolutely not, in my opinion. I think Hojbjerg actually did have some decent moments. And actually, I was surprised that Emi Martinez did save that. I actually was expecting that to sail into the top of the net because it almost felt like, of a game of missed sitters, you would think that, yeah, it's going to be a screamer, from 40 yards that goes in after a game of missed sitters. Sometimes games can be like that, but somehow we were that unlucky that even Martinez found a way to pull off a spectacular save there. But yeah, for me, Hojbjerg really did play all right, and he probably could have scored there for sure. And he did create some moments for us for sure. But like I say, not his best performance, but not so poor either that he in any way sort of cost the game. But that's just my opinion on it. Yeah, Michael. Yeah.
I wasn't saying.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and Martinez has been sort of poor lately for Villa too, and today I think he had a pretty good game for them, sadly. But I want to go back to that red card real quick. I think if anything, you could maybe argue that Cash could have had that second yellow, stopping one of our attacks. I forgot who he fouled from behind, but I think it might have been Brennan John.
Lodgy, I think. or Bernard Johnson. Yeah.
Was it Udogie? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think you're right. It was Udogie. I think if anything, you could argue maybe a second yellow there. I don't think you could give a straight red for the Bentancur tackle, even though it did get him injured. I don't know. I wouldn't see it as a red.
No, it's one of those where I've been more passionate about other decisions, I think, this season that have kind of gone against us. It's not the one that I'm going to be kind of the most upset with. I probably, after watching actually the replays, Ellie, on the red card, I'm actually, seeing the replays of that elbow on Hill. I'm actually kind of more upset about that. And I guess we haven't even referenced that. But once I saw it on Twitter, everybody's been pointing out that elbow that went on Hill. I mean, that absolutely should be given as a penalty, if not a red card. That was clearly deliberate and was right in front of the camera. I mean, the video that they got of that is just right in front of them. I'm quite surprised that they didn't look back at that at all. It looked pretty obvious that that was cynical. It looked pretty obvious that that was intentional. I'm surprised that they didn't go back to check that. So I would actually be more personally, I was more, when looking back at that, more kind of upset that that wasn't given any sort of kind of attention at all. But that's just me, Ellie, and do really appreciate your support. And Ellie, I'm pretty sure you went to the game, so I thank you for still tuning in with us, after the game and everything. Really do appreciate your support, my dear. Hopefully you're all right, and hopefully you have a good rest of your Sunday. But I'm with you on Hojbjerg. I think he actually had an all right game. I think it was really big loss to see Bentancur go, but once again, I just think sometimes the blame is put on Hojbjerg at times when I really think it actually should probably be put elsewhere. But it's always a game of opinions. It's always a game of opinions. But we are already, I think, an hour and a half in. I've already asked a lot of Michael and Tyler here to come on and have their say. So I'm going to sort of give them maybe one last chance to maybe offer some sort of extra opinion or something if they may have it. And then I think we'll wrap things up here. So everybody, if you can, smash that like button, get your last and final comments in. But Michael, any final observations from you, sir?
I liked today's performance. I think that there are bits and pieces missing. I think we can improve on many things. But listen, you can always improve, right? There pretty much is no perfect team. Like, even not, I'm not necessarily saying even now, but generally in the history of this game, there weren't many perfect teams that were doing defending and attacking and midfield and and all of that just like really well, right? So even Pep's Barca lost 1-0 to Celtic with like 93% possession, right? So the things of course, I'm like, this wasn't like such a big difference in quality and performance today, right? But what I meant to say is that I am encouraged generally this season with what I'm seeing with those players, with Ange, with this team. And listen, we find ourselves in a really tough situation, and I wouldn't be surprised if we lost to City, right? And this will make it 4 in a row. And I know it's like hard to ask people to be like patient and to be, calm with their reactions. But listen, guys, it's literally this manager had one preseason, one transfer window, and he had like 14 games, right, with including City, where like half of his squad is pretty much unavailable, right? So I would give this thing time, because I think this style of football and many of those players that weren't available today, and even some of them that were in the lineup today, I think they can form a really, really strong squad and really, really like push us on. So even though we lost today, and even though we'll probably lose in a week, I would still encourage people to be patient with what's happening with our club. And for once, I can confidently say I enjoy watching our team. First time in like 3 or 4 years, like not even like some spells, but for a long, long time, I'm actually enjoying us play.
Absolutely. That's where it's confusing, right? The majority of the game, we were really impressed with how we played, and the way that we were breaking down Villa and causing them problems just didn't end up somehow getting what we really truly deserved. But Tyler, any sort of final observations from yourself, my man?
Yeah, just, in general, with the injuries and the suspensions, I thought Ange set us up perfectly with the starting 11. We were set up to win the game, to attack, to score goals, and we created a shit ton of chances. And sadly, we didn't finish them. I think the only thing where you can sort of criticize Ange is maybe the substitutions, bringing on Skip for Hill instead of maybe giving a Donley or bring in Valiz a little earlier, maybe, but he doesn't have much to work with right now with those subs. I don't blame him too much, even though I think Skip is a pretty useless player, but he was just brought in to bring in some legs because a lot of the guys were tired. I would have liked to see Donley come in, but it's not the end of the world. And yeah, just to keep having faith in Ange and the guys, I think it was a very impressive performance for what we had. And if we finished our chances on a different day, we win this game 4-1, 5-1. I mean, we had plenty of chances. It's just unfortunate, and hopefully all the injuries, all the guys heal up quickly and come back to us. And hopefully we stop this losing streak. Maybe we get it done against City. You know, we've been beating them a lot, obviously, recently in these last like 4 or 5 seasons. So let's hope that continues somehow. But yeah, that's all.
This is a game for me where I don't know if really Ange can take almost any blame at all. Like, it's not like unless he can come onto the pitch and bury those chances for them. I guess maybe that could have maybe helped us. But seriously, I think in fact this is probably a game where Spurs fans should probably regain some confidence in Ange. If they were at one stage losing it, maybe you probably regained it, because I think we, for the most part, did everything that he set us up in the right way. We were playing very well, just were lacking the finishing, and also I guess had some defensive mistakes, but both of those are not really on him. I think he made the best of a bad situation and really got a good performance out of a lot of different players. And if you were at any stage starting to question Ange or anything like that, I would say after this game, despite the loss, I would say you should probably regain some confidence or at least some faith in the guy. That's just me personally, though. But yeah, I think we'll try to move on from this one and go into the next week, though. Everybody, do appreciate all of your support on the channel. Everybody that's tuned into the post-match show. Thanks to Tyler. Thanks to Michael here, as well as Dermatron for helping me out, as well as Dave for bringing in his opinions and spicing up the show as well. Thank you to Ellie. Thank you to Keith Edwards, Al, Ben, and Jerome for supporting the channel in an extra way. Looking forward to the upcoming week, where we're going to try to make sense of this last performance and hope that we can continue to see at least, similar play to what we got today, but hopefully we can get a result. But big game against Man City. It's going to be hard to get any sort of result there, but we'll see what we can do. But I think we'll leave you there, everybody. Really do appreciate all the support. Thanks for everybody tuning in. Smash the like button on the way out, and we'll be seeing you. Come on, you Spurs. In the big Ange we trust. Definitely should be trusting him, in my opinion, after this one. And we never stop, everybody. We'll see you. Come on, you Spurs.
In big Ange and big lunch that he actually shifts Dyer out.
He was in the stands, so he was in the stands. So maybe he will. We'll see you, everybody. Have a good one.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Everywhere we go.